Meanwhile, good news today for borrowers. Bad for everyone else, though. The Reserve Bank cut official interest rates by 0.25 basis points from 3.85% to 3.6%, which had Treasurer Jim Chalmers happy and claiming credit.
It will put more money in the pockets of people who are under pressure. It means $109 a month for every $700,000 owed, and the three cuts this year together are about $330 a month, or almost $4,000 a year.
But the bad news. The bad news is that the Reserve Bank also today said we're going to get poorer than it had thought. It had thought our productivity would go up by 1% a year for the next 2 years. Now it realised it was too optimistic. Productivity growth will be at a miserly 0.7% instead. But when it's bad news like that, the Treasurer is always keen to say we shouldn't blame him, not even after more than 3 years in the job.
We do have a productivity challenge in our economy. That challenge has been long-standing. It is also global, as the Reserve Bank points out, but it is substantial, and it is the government's primary focus, not just next week.
Joining me is our Tuesday regular, National Senator Matt Canavan, the former Resources Minister. Matt, great to see you. We've been getting poorer per person for some time, measured by disposable income. That doesn't look like changing much on these figures.
Unfortunately not, Andrew, and that graph you just displayed showed it starkly. But if you look at the right end of that graph, the cliff that has popped up on the scene of the last few years, the first term of the Labor government, is nothing like we've ever seen before. Labor productivity on that graph you just showed has fallen over 5% in the first 3 years of this government. And as you can see, I think you're putting it back up there now. There's never been a fall like that. I looked at it a few years ago, or a few months ago, sorry, and the biggest fall prior to that, over a 3-year period, was 0.6% back in the recession we had to have in Paul Keating's time. So this is just off the charts reduction, 5% compared to 0.6%. And it's taken the Labor Party a long time to wake up to the fact that the other thing that shows in that graph is that our disposable income is pretty much linked one-to-one with productivity. So as our productivity has fallen by that much, our disposable income on average in Australia has fallen too, and that's why people are feeling so tough and struggling to survive right now. Now, the government, as I say, is finally cottoned onto this. I criticised them 3 years ago when they had their Jobs and Skills Summit. And I said at the time, why aren't you inviting the Productivity Commission? Our productivity growth had been sclerotic up to that point, but not falling off a cliff like it is now. Why aren't you? They didn't even have the Productivity Commission come along to their Jobs and Skills Summit. Now they're doing a Productivity Summit next week, but it all seems sort of slapdash, this productivity roundtable. There seems to be no coherent or cogent messages, apart from a whole new series of tax increases that are being proposed. And no one's been able to explain to me, Andrew, how will a tax increase, an increase in taxes, going to help us be more productive and therefore get people's incomes up?
Now, all this that this government has done in its first 3 years was load business with more red tape, more green tape, more union restrictions. No wonder we're struggling. But speaking of that, here's one insight, Matt, into why our economy is struggling. It's one that you picked up on your Twitter feed. 4 years ago, the owners of the Tomago aluminium smelter, that's near Newcastle, they bought into this whole green energy hype that seems to have carried away a lot of our business elite. They claimed their smelter would go green, would use more wind and solar power. But this week we saw a reality hit. It told its workers that in fact higher power prices now would force the smelter to close. What lesson do you take from this?
Nothing green ever works, Andrew. I've ripped that off from Tim Blair, your esteemed colleague, but nothing green ever seems to work. There's a lot of promises. The sales pitch for green things is excellent. It's great. It's just when you get the product home and start using it, it all falls apart. And unfortunately, there's no extended warranty on green energy. We are stuck with this rubbish, and we're stuck at the moment with these higher power prices. What happened at Tomago is, as you've put up there on the screen, is they put out to market. They said, we want to go green. Let's try and build some solar, some wind, offshore wind as well. They were talking about that project off Newcastle. Let's go out and see what that will cost, because we're told, the CSIRO and others tell us, this is cheaper than the coal we're using right now. And anyway, lo and behold, the bids came back to Tomago, and they're way too high, and they can't survive at those sort of prices. Keep in mind the amount of energy that smelter uses just north of where I am right now. It's enough for pretty much a whole power station. You could build a coal-fired power station of that size just to run the Tomago aluminium smelter. And it needs it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Intermittent renewable power just can't do that. So if we want to keep these kind of jobs, we've got to have solutions like coal power, which can stay on all the time. You shut your coal-fired power stations down, you're going to lose manufacturing in this country, and you're not going to change the temperature of the globe either.
Absolutely. Look, just quickly, Matt, I've run out of time, but I just need to ask you this. Meanwhile, the founder of the Greens, Bob Brown, he's fighting a wind farm off Tasmania's coast of Robbins Island. He says it's a bird killer, not just an eyesore, a bird killer. He says the Robbins Island project includes a vast concrete causeway, 100 turbines with blades spinning more than twice as high as Hobart's West Point Casino Tower, in the middle of flight paths, including those of the critically endangered orange-bellied parrot and Tasmania's giant wedge-tailed eagle. Do you find yourself on the side of Bob Brown as well, this Greens guru, to your surprise?
Not only do I find myself on the side of Bob, Andrew, during the election campaign, I was at a rally against a wind project in North Queensland, and I believe Bob Brown was at a simultaneous rally in Tasmania, and we live streamed into it. So I never thought I'd be going effectively to the same political well, at least on the same side. I've actually been at rallies with Bob before, but we're on opposing sides before. But it's funny how politics can sometimes cause strange friends. But look, I think Bob now, he'd get along with Donald Trump really well. What you've just quoted him saying there is pretty much word for word what the president told Keir Starmer a few weeks ago. So I think they're in the political bed with each other too.
What does the Greens movement come to when they're proposing projects that Bob Brown cannot stomach? I mean, it just says something, how they've lost their tiny minds. Matt Canavan, thank you so much for your time.